All right, Bill, man, it's not every day you meet somebody that's got 35 plus years experience in the dental industry and then also an accounting degree
Yeah.
going in as CEO of a group dental practice. So, super fun conversation we just had.
Yeah, that's something that, we are big believers in operations and finance and how they work together. But you're right, it's rare that you have someone that has as much of a foundational understanding of accounting as Bonnie does. So it made for a great conversation. And I think there's a lot of great data in there people are really going to enjoy.
Yeah, and the cool thing too is like 35 plus years of, experience, but then she's almost set in every single seat in the dental practice as not the doctor and not the hygienist, right? So she knows it, she's set there. And so it's the benefit of being in those seats as you've experienced it. You figure out where your pain points are and then you figure out how to fix it. So you guys are going to really enjoy this. Our conversation we just had, Bonnie Thompson, COO of Forest Family Dentistry. You guys enjoy.
Welcome to Dental Momentum, the podcast dedicated to lively discussions on business and financial strategies tailored for dental business owners. At Duckett Ladd, we're committed to transforming your business journey and supporting you at every stage. Join us as we delve into the keys to long-term practice success, from cutting-edge accounting and strategic tax planning to personalized business strategies. Together, let's propel your dental practice forward with unstoppable momentum.
All right, Bonnie, so 35, 36 years, we were just kind of talking before we hit the record button in the dental industry, right? I mean, so you started when you were in first grade, second grade, like what is this? Unpack this for us.
That's right. I was lucky enough to have been invited to join the dental field while I was in high school. I thought I was taking a job as a front desk person, but apparently back in that time frame, I won't give a year, we were allowed to train on the job with a dentist. So I was handed a suction and some gloves and a mask on my first day and shown the ropes. And from there, what I thought was just going to be a temporary job through high school and maybe through college became a career path for me that I'm super passionate about.
So Bonnie, going back to that opportunity, did you have family members that were dentists, or did you have any connection, or was it just one of those opportunities that just fell in your lap?
I went to my guidance counselor one day and I said, hey, can you help me find a real job? Because I have worked in bakeries and grocery stores and I'm basically the town babysitter. And if I have a real job, nobody can ask me to babysit anymore. And she said, hey, there's a local dentist. He hires from the high school because he's a high school graduate from here as well. Everybody that works in that office went to this high school. And I thought, well, I know my alphabet and I can probably file charts and I think I know how to answer a phone. So that's where I went. And I had no background in it whatsoever. Nobody I knew was even in the medical field.
Wow. So you just got the opportunity and went. So just walk us through that. I mean, that was the start of the dental career, right? Year one.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Yep.
walk us through your journey, if you will, to where you are today.
Absolutely. Again, it became, I'm a people pleaser and a nurturer by nature. I'm
Same.
the oldest of five daughters.
Yeah.
So for me, it was about getting to understand the patient journey and making them feel comfortable. And I'm inquisitive. I kind of need to understand the why to everything that I'm doing. So when patients would ask me questions, how long will I be numb? Is this going to hurt? Can I go back to work after? It prompted me to always ask questions of the doctor so that I had the answers. Again, I had to people please and nurture. But as that developed even more, I wanted to know, how can I help the front desk, or how can I help a patient understand why this is covered by their insurance or this isn't. But I always had a pathway in my brain that I was going to go to school for accounting. So I continued that path while thinking that this, again, dental journey was just going to be a part-time temporary gig. But what I realized is there was a whole business component tied into the people of the business. So how well are the teams performing? How well are we communicating with patients? How happy are patients with their treatment? What are they accepting? And then I was lucky enough to work alongside our accountant in one of my offices. So as I was learning things real time about accounting in school, and in college pursuing my degree, I got to see it actually working in the dental office. Like, what do our supplies cost? What are fixed costs? What are, staffing costs? And it just became still being with the people and helping more people understand why we needed to watch certain things or track certain things in a business to make it work. I could never let go of the people though. And now I get to foster that love and passion for team members of mine to give them a pathway into this career as well.
So Bonnie, tell us how important it was for you and your experience. I mean, and you have such incredible boots on the ground experience. How important was that as you kind of worked up and started functioning in more of a pure ops seat?
For me, it's because I just said this to a new hire the other day. I've held every role in the dental office except for the hygienist and the doctor. But I work very closely with them, so I understand their pain points and also the things that make them tick. So for me, being in ops, that seamless relationship that I bring between business acumen, again, studying all of that and understanding it, but being able to go to my team and say, hey, this is the plan, this is the goals that we have in mind. How do I share that goal with a dental assistant that makes sense for them? Because they really don't care about, EBITDA, but they do care about the things that they contribute to. So patient care, 5-star reviews, kind of that efficiency throughout the schedule. But then how do I talk to the front desk coordinator that's brand new or the office manager that's overseeing that team? I can talk to everyone on the team and understand exactly what they bring to that goal.
Yeah.
So going back, did you get your accounting degree? Is that what you majored in?
I did, yes. And I realized, no offense, but I did
None
not
taken.
want to
Before you even say it, none taken.
Yeah, we will finish that sentence for you if you want, Bonnie. We know exactly what you're going to say.
Well, my thing was, I was like, I don't want to just do tax returns and I don't want to prepare the statements, but I love that I understand them. I love learning more about them, and I love to be able to translate that message and that story back to the teams. And when I see success happening in those reports, man, do I love to take the data in that story and bring it back to the team and say, you all have contributed to the things that we have going on. Yeah. And now in ops, I get to take those successes and build more for the employees too, like adding benefits and things like that.
Bonnie, and I promise you we'll circle back on accounting. We're licking our chops over on that. But I am curious. I know you talk to other dentists and people who are aspiring to grow practices. What kind of advice do you give to maybe operators who are newer to the space, who don't have haven't had the breadth of experience that you've had as far as being in every seat except for those two? What kind of advice can you give them to try to get up to speed on how those all function?
Honestly, I would say it's hard because I maybe didn't realize the lessons I was learning at the time, but I'm always inquisitive and asking why. For leaders, especially those have been brought into the space on a wing and a prayer, we'll say. Maybe they didn't have all that boots on the ground experience. Be hungry. Ask questions of your team, build trust with those people, and build a network. Build a network of other leaders in the industry that you can ask questions of when you don't actually have that person in your direct space to ask. Especially newer offices, maybe you just opened your second or third and you're like, geez, how do I balance this? It made sense with one, but now I've got more. Just having a safe space of colleagues to ask too.
Yeah, maybe we should have done this right at the beginning a little bit too, but maybe just unpack, Bonnie, where you are now, what you do on a day-to-day basis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sitting in the COO seat, it's exciting for me. I can't say that I ever chased a title or anything. It just evolved because it's what I do. So I get to work seamlessly with the owner. He's the visionary, and I get to be the integrator, so to speak. So it's kind of from that traction model. Mm-hmm. And I get to take the vision that he has, make sure that I'm aligned with it. I think alignment is the key to this relationship, making sure that I understand what the goals are and where we're headed and roll that out to the team. So it's bringing that message to each individual on our team, all the people, and making sure that they understand where we're going and having systems in place to do so.
How many practices, how many employees, just real fast to give people perspective?
We have 5 practices and we're just about to hit 100 employees.
Whoa. Nice. HR is busy.
Yeah. HR is extremely busy. She is my right hand.
So, Bonnie, let's dive into traction, because I think that's one area of commonality that we really bonded over. And it was interesting at that conference we were at, multiple businesses talked about traction. First of all, explain to the crowd, they don't know what is traction, and then probably more importantly, how do you guys integrate it into your portfolio? Is it just a corporate feature? Is it down to the practice level? Unpack that, because I find it fascinating that you've integrated that into your portfolio.
Absolutely. It's interesting for me because in a previous role, I had been introduced to the book traction, but it wasn't implemented. It was just a theory.
Yeah.
But when I got here, it was actually something that Dr. Bethel had adopted a few years back. So in terms of just coming in and seeing what he wanted and understanding roles, like understanding the visionary role and what that is and what its limitations are, to be quite honest, because they are the grandeur of things. They are the chasing shiny things. They really need somebody that can talk to the people on their team.
Yeah.
So that's where my role as the integrator comes in, because I do know how to talk the talk with each one of these people. As a doctor owner and somebody that, hasn't had to sit in all of those seats and hasn't had to be the sterile tech or the AR person specific, being able to have everybody rowing in the same direction, so to speak, it's in the book, is very key. But we do structure all of our weekly meetings. We have level 10s every week with our leadership. We track the key metrics. You actually have to monitor what you want to see grow. You've got to water it and take care of it and do all of those things. So we do monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, weekly meetings, and I do the same with my team. So I'm doing with my own office managers. We have segues. We kind of talk about different things. We'll watch their metrics. So we're trying to make sure that you can't do that with everybody on your team. I don't think you can have these specific quote unquote level 10 meetings with everybody and have them understand the value. But daily huddles with the team is one way that we keep them on track with the total goal.
That's what I was going to ask. And Bill, you kind of alluded to it, like you've got it at the corporate level, I guess I should say, probably like the L10 cadence and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have those L10s, if you will, down all the way at the clinical level, or does that stay up at like the office manager level of each? I know that's a very technical question, but...
No, it's not. Well, one thing I'm really proud of is we have a level of transparency with our company. Every month we do a monthly team meeting. We call it FFDU, so Forest Family Dentistry University. And we bring our teams together in their offices. We do it at the exact same hour in every location. And we produce a scorecard for the entire team. We show them what every office's production is, what their collection is, if they're hitting and tracking their monthly goals. We explain what those goals are made from too, based on working days and doctor availability and patient availability. We track our 5-star reviews as well, because again, that's a metric that is key to our success. Is, if we have all these procedures and processes in place, one of our core values is being evidence-based. If there's, 1-star reviews, we know that something fell apart. So we roll that out with the company, and we talk about company initiatives as well. So we are doing it at an office level. It's just not maybe dialed down specific to those teams. But Morning Huddle also kind of talks through some of those to keep everybody focused.
One thing I've found, Bonnie, as I've worked with groups, is a part of traction that has helped us tremendously, and I see a lot of holes in portfolio owners, is like the accountability chart, and not really understanding how does communication flow and who's there to help someone if there's issues, but also to hold them accountable if they're not meeting their objectives. Walk us through how you see that, and how you've kind of incorporated the accountability chart and how that's helped you guys.
Absolutely. That was actually one of our greatest successes when we joined forces. When I came on board, there was a weird structure in place that the accountability just wasn't tied together correctly. So we redid the org chart altogether. We implemented managers at each location. Yeah. We make sure, and I think this kind of goes to that culture and scalability as well, is when you have that org chart in place and everybody knows who they answer to and how the information goes from the owner through me as an integrator to the managers to the team, you actually have to trust that the people in your accountability workflow are going to mirror that same message, because the last thing you want is somebody that translates it with a little bit too much spice or not the right amount of encouragement towards certain things. if you don't have that, if you don't have trust within that hierarchy and that org chart, it's not scalable at all.
So how do you utilize traction? I get this, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to gather information myself, but like,
Yeah.
I get this question all the time regarding like the associate dentist, right? Like what data are you giving them every month, or maybe it's quicker than that, maybe it's daily, weekly, like to let them know like they're winning in their job, like they are succeeding? Do they have specific goals for each associate dentist, like production goals or case acceptance goals and that sort of thing, or how do you do that?
We do. It's honestly one of those spots where we're getting better at. Dr. Bethel and I are really working hard towards making sure we have more of that transparency with our associates. But as far as how we create our goals, it's based on the doctor's working day. So in our last team training day, which was just last week, I re-explained kind of how those goals are set and how we build our staffing model around our doctors. So every doctor gets 2 assistants, every hygienist gets an assistant. So we got to talk about why, if you're on our team, your role is important to us. And then we set the goals based on the doctor's level of skill set as well. So maybe a new grad has a smaller daily goal versus a doctor that's been out 3 to 5 years or 10 or more. And that's how we build our monthly goals, is basically off of the number of working days for that doctor plus their daily goal, so that the teams understand we didn't just make up a number. We didn't just say, your goal is 50 million. It actually ties to something that's tangible for them. So the managers too, when we do our quarterly meetings, I have them build their reports for me. I give them the KPIs and I say, tell me what your office did by doctor, by location, by month. And then let's see where your high points are and where your low points are. If there is a doctor that was maybe scheduled to work 28 days in the month, hypothetically, and they underproduced, but they only worked 10 because they were out sick, or then we can kind of tie that to actually what they brought. And then also tying that back to, then were you overstaffed? So we had budgeted for this doctor to have 2 full-time assistants throughout the whole month. They were out for a month. What did you do with that person? How did you move them around? Did you offer their hours to a different location to support them if they were short-staffed, kind of thing?
Makes sense.
Bonnie, one thing I hear you say is, and I can tell how much you guys get done in those meetings. And a pushback I get a lot of times when you're talking through the traction model and the level 10 specifically, or weekly meetings, is how in the world do you find time to do that? We're so busy that we don't have time to carve out an hour to an hour and a half to have one of those meetings. I mean, what has been your experience, as far as how you would answer that question?
You have to schedule it. It can be as cumbersome as finding time to go to the gym or finding time to eat healthy in your personal life. It's about scheduling and making it a priority. So our level 10, it is scheduled. It doesn't change. Unless there's, some major catastrophe or, somebody's on vacation. And even when one of us is on vacation, we will still hold the meeting with the remaining team members. We still report on the same numbers and we still talk through them. It's what you make important to you.
So is it, stupid question, is it like doing normal working hours, like during the middle of the day, or how do you schedule that? Like, when is it?
Our level 10s are every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m.
Okay, so first
which
thing.
is a great time. Yep, it's a great time because hopefully at that point no chaotic things have happened. Not to say that I don't get random SOS calls on my way to those meetings at 7:30, but they still happen.
Yeah, so you make time for it. You just plan it. You plan it and then you plan around it, is what you're saying. Yeah. So talk about, we're finance guys, right? And Bill says this all the time with a lot of the groups he works with is, ops comes first, right? You say that all the time, Bill. Like, you need a good ops person to get stuff done, right? But then on the finance side, you kind of referenced it a little bit, what gets, you got to measure this thing. Are you getting better or not? Talk about the interplay there between like how finance, especially in the traction model, how that plays in with the ops side.
Absolutely. For us, I think we're still evolving through this. When I came in, we really put the pedal to the metal as far as streamlining that org chart and really seeing what traction we could get on the ground as far as production and collections. But from the finance side, it's how are we spending that money? Are we collecting it correctly? Are we collecting it on time? And then how are we spending it? If we're spending it frivolously at the end of the day, the profitability and the EBITDA is going to tank. If we're not investing it correctly either, did we miss opportunities where we should have made that bigger purchase before end of year and things like that? It's the strategic things. I think that's where we're in that sweet spot now. We're no longer in that like figuring out, do we have enough? It's then what do we do now that we're getting it, and how are we spending it? And that relationship is key.
Well, let's back up and kind of same question, I guess, when you think through like groups that are just getting started and they're trying to grow, what are some of the foundational things from your perspective that they need from that finance seat, regarding timely reporting, whatever the case may be? What do you tend to see are almost non-negotiables for you as an ops person to do your job well?
I think knowing what the industry standard is. I think sometimes, especially as a newer office, and I've been through de novos that were brand new startups, we didn't have any money left in the bank for operational things. Knowing like what is normal, like where should we be at this point in the game? Is this brand new doctor who just left that sweet spot of being an associate and making money and not having to worry about things, that just got real brave and opened their own practice or opened their second or third? What does normal look like? Where should we be? How much should we be collecting? Are we doing it at the right pace? And then I think those are the things that you would then bring to these doctors to be able to say, it may feel tight right now, but this is normal. This is what normal looks like.
As so you're in the spot now, right? The let's say the group portfolio is 5 practices. I think you said adding 2 more. So and 100 employees, like you got a bunch going on right there.
Yeah.
What advice would you have, or let's say you got a group out there that's maybe have 1 practice, or maybe they have 2 and they want to grow to 5, right? From an infrastructure standpoint, right? Accountability chart.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say? Maybe 2 sides. People wait too long to hire certain positions, or maybe on the flip side, are there some times where people hire too early? Because that's the question we see all the time. Like,
right.
Well, when do I add this? Do I do it now, or do I wait till this and that? Like, I know it's a big, robust question, but how would you kind of answer that?
It is. I think anytime you're about to scale, you need to make sure that the processes that you have in place are solid. Yeah. Like, does everybody understand the process, and does it work? I've seen people have weird processes in place, and it's not going to work when you open that second and third location. Staffing is a big part of it too. You need to have the people. As we look to opening new practices, we're going to be looking internally to take the people that know our culture inside and out and know our processes and be able to promote them, so that we're certain that we can take that culture and those processes into that next space. Mm-hmm. If you only always hire from outside, you're having to reteach those things. You run that risk of, did we hire correctly? Do we know that these people are, what they can deliver, what we need? And do we have that knowledge base within them to understand what we're expecting? So we're definitely going to be looking to growing internally and getting ready to promote people from within, and then making sure that they can take that same level of expectation. I think as you scale, you can't compromise. You run that risk of, if you bring all new people in and you're just like a wing and a prayer, you're going to trust that they can not compromise patient care or what your reputation is.
So Bonnie, to do that, I think that what underlying current has to be addressed is internal growth. A lot of time is predicated on culture too. And what culture have you established that people want to stay around, but also see a path for growth? So how do you see those two interplaying, your desire to hire internally along with making sure that those opportunities are clearly presented and the culture is a place they'd want to stay?
Absolutely. I spoke on this recently at a conference too. Turnover is somewhat inevitable. In my company, we had last year, again, 100 employees. We had 10 babies born. Wow. That was 10 pregnancies. Yeah. We had 3 people leave to just be stay-at-home moms, and that is fantastic. We had 2 people accepted to dental school that left us and moved on. We had 2 accepted to hygiene school. So turnover is inevitable, but I think when you have the right culture and you ask the right questions with hiring and interviewing, and you're transparent, I think transparency is key. You have to set really, really clear expectations for what you expect from your employees, but you need to be able to ask the employees the same questions that you can understand that they are going to be able to meet those expectations and that you can meet theirs. If you have no plans to grow and you're just going to be this small, and you interview somebody and you find out that they want all kinds of growth, they might not be the best person for you if you don't have that pathway for them, and then they're going to be part of your future turnover. But if you know you have growth opportunities, you can interview people that are at that caliber, asking the right questions and saying, what does growth look like for you? How can we help support that? And then from there, you're just going to be hoping that they fit. I mean, again, there's a lot of hope that goes into this, because people can interview really well and then fall short, or they may not interview well and they may knock your socks off, and I've seen that too. So I think there's a key to being very transparent with your expectations and what you're going to need from your employees.
Kind of staying on that same vein of culture, and I know you're big on culture, and I am too. I mean, culture is everything. How do you, as you grow, right? And we run into this issue at our firm too, but like as you grow and you've got a really good culture in place, it's easy to grow and water down that culture. Just it kind of gets diluted. How do you keep that going? Now you got 100 people, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back when it was 2 practices or 3 practices. I'm sure there's a different culture. How did you keep that culture going as it grows?
It's interesting. When I came on board, he was already at 5 or had just opened his 5th. Mm-hmm. And culture was one of those things that was troubled, I will say. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just because the message and the expectation of that visionary on what he had originally founded and wanted and created maybe got missed in translation. Again, there wasn't that right org chart in place to make sure the message was the same. I think once I got here and we were able to kind of talk through it, I was like, okay, just give me all the horses. I'm going to run this now. We take culture, and the culture is very important. We talk about our core values in every single meeting. They're what drive our decisions. And then we actually talk with our managers and making sure, like, hey, how is this following our core values? We use it in every one of our employee reviews. So when it comes time for your annual review, the first 5 questions are, do you meet the core values, plus, minus, or a weird mix of plus, minus, so we can help them understand where they might be falling short.
Part of traction.
It is part of traction. And they were very well thought out. I can honestly say that when I was first interviewing and talking, again, they're interviews and they're conversations and everybody's putting their best selves forward. It's like a first date kind of thing. But when I got the information, I got the job description, I got the employment contract, and I got the core values listed out, I thought, man, if these are truly how this man wants to run this company and how this company is going to be running, I found my forever home, because the core values actually speak to exactly the person I am at my core. And I think that kind of alignment, when the visionary and the integrator can agree that these are the fundamental values of what the company is going to be based on, how we expect people to behave in their day-to-day, I think it makes it easy. And I think for other operators out there, you want to make sure you might have all the knowledge in the world to run a great company, but if you're not aligned with the values, somebody's going to fall short. Somebody's expectations are not going to be met.
Mm-hmm. Where you're at now, and where dentistry's at now, like, what are your big pain points that you guys are going through where you're at your stage of growth? Like, what is keeping you up at night? What are you like, man, I can't figure this out? Or
I think it's just, there's this weird environment with the economy. I think we're listening to our team constantly. So we're always asking for feedback. What's important to you? What do you want to see? And I think it's weird because coming back from COVID, I think all these organizations, everybody was screaming, hey, we need work-life balance. And, decisions were made at that time to kind of scale the company back to a 4-day work week. And so benefits packages were built around these different like sliding scales. And now what I'm seeing is employees are coming and saying, hey, I need more of a 40-hour work week. I want more of that. I need that to survive. And we see that with the economy as well. So it's just figuring out how we're going to take some of these transitional things with the economy and the way life is to new levels. I mean, there's AI technology as well that I'm not afraid of. I think that they're great technology. I don't think they're ever going to solely replace people because, again, we're a human industry. There'll always be people needing people. But if they can make people's jobs easier, we may be able to meet people with, higher pay rates as they need it because we can implement this technology to make people more productive in their roles.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So let's stay on the economy because the other side of the economy is the patients, right?
Right.
And part of Traction talks about the three-legged stool of ops, finance, and then there's sales and marketing. How do you interact with sales and marketing, like from an ops perspective, specific to say, new patient growth and the desire to make sure that, new patients are coming in the door?
Absolutely. It's one of the things I teach my team on too is, we're in Austin. So Austin is a growing demographic all the time. But as many new people that are moving to Austin, there's also dental offices popping up all over the place
For sure.
too. So when you look at competition, so to speak, there's so many opportunities for patients to get their care wherever they need it. We just need to make sure that we are available and that we deliver. And so for us, again, it's kind of that culture piece that goes into play because most dental offices now have iTero scanners. A lot of them are doing Invisalign from general dentistry practices. So the sweet spot isn't the things that we have in office or the procedures we offer. It's the patient satisfaction. Patient doesn't know if they have a good, two-surface filling. They can't see it. They can't judge that, but they know how they were made to feel when they're there. So we try to make sure that patients get that experience every time. We're trying to attract patients based on what they need. So, a lot of our marketing is kind of showcasing who we are and what sets us apart, just the fun that they might have there, what we're offering. We do offer early morning appointments and evening appointments. So 3 days a week, my offices are open 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Wow.
And we offer Saturdays as well. So it's kind of those things that we know that patients are working hard and they're working their jobs and weird schedules. We want to be available to them when they need us.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you guys see the demand. Are the two new practices still in the Austin area as well that you guys are looking?
Yeah, just a little bit outside, like in the suburbs, a little bit.
Yeah. So I said this on a deal the other day Bill and I were doing, and maybe I'll ask if it's true. And I guess you said you came in and there were 5 already, or the 5th one was just getting started. But if you're at 5 and adding 2 more practices, is that fairly easy? As opposed to you have like 1 practice, 2 practices, and you're adding another one. Is it easier because you have more, or is it still like a headache, like tough?
It's still, it's still a stomach ache, and especially when you're going to go through the whole finance things. You're bringing in money, you're looking to spend the money, you're making sure you're spending it wisely. You're on somebody else's timeline, so you're going to have to wait for permitting. You're going to have to wait for builders. The pain points on that are still the same. I think it's definitely more scary if you're not solid in your processes. If you're having culture issues or if you're having process hiccups, that makes it feel a little bit more nerve-wracking. But if you feel like you have the perfect recipe, I mean, look at a McDonald's. Their biggest risk when they open is the competitor around going to do this. They have their recipe in place. They know what they're going to be able to produce. That's pretty standard. Is it going to work in this market or this neighborhood?
Real quick, Bonnie, I want to jump back to something you said earlier, which I think is super interesting, which is those more, I guess you call them commercial hours or whatever you want to call them. A lot of people don't do that. And whether that's, just their culture or their desire to appease their team or whatever the case may be, for people who would like to consider that, how would you have them evaluate whether it makes sense to open up additional hours, or how did you guys make that decision?
That's been something Dr. Bethel has had in his office hours since the day he opened. He wanted to make sure, and one of the mission statements is to be available to patients and make it convenient for them. And we know what it's like to work a 9-to-5 job. I know what it's like to have kids where I'm working 9 to 5 and then I also need to shuffle them around. I would say that it's not always easy. We've definitely seen that in certain markets. All of our offices are slightly different. We have offices that are more in a suburban family neighborhood and some that are more in the tech neighborhoods. You get a different flow of patients just based on what their needs and availability are, and just who's coming to different visits at different times. We have some tech people downtown Austin that have like these weird flexible schedules that, you know, they get to sleep in and then they want to come to the dentist at 11 a.m. because they haven't started their day yet. And then, you know, we've got other people in the suburbs that they will almost pull their kids out of school or send their kids to school late because the after school sports activities are crazy.
Yeah.
So I can't say that there's one particular market that focuses on one particular demographic. It's just something we do across the board, you know, to be available.
Do you have pushback? I'm assuming new associates would work those hours as well. I mean, do you have pushback on that from the team side?
We basically, I mean, again, it's setting expectations from the very, very beginning. And we've turned people away, both staff and associate wise, that say, well, I don't do evenings or I don't want Saturdays. Then it doesn't fit what we need. Most of our associates do at least one evening shift a week. So we do have a couple that will do two depending on what their office ratios are. And then we ask them all to do at least one Saturday once a month or every 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, it just goes back to your culture, you know, the buy-in.
Yeah.
You got to get that buy-in from the team, and you're living out those core values by doing that.
That's the core value, 100%. And one more tactical question on that, then we can move on. But presumably, you know, you see enough scheduling in those blocks to keep them open in certain demographics. It makes sense. I mean, that's probably a hurdle people would have to get over is would they be able to schedule those times, or are they just going to be paying people to sit around, you know, when nobody's there?
We see them full. I mean, I think once patients know that they're there, it's important. The other thing is I've definitely going to go back a few years for myself. I've seen offices where there were later appointments open or Saturdays, and you would have team that could manipulate those things and not offer them so that they never look busy enough to try to get owners to make different decisions on whether or not those should be open. We just have the expectation it will be, and the monitoring system in the org chart that says these are days we're open, and it's part of the staffing hours as well. So, you know, when we interview, we just say, hey, everybody needs to be able to do one closing shift a week and one Saturday a month or every 6 weeks, and it's part of your hours. So if you think that not scheduling those times and closing a little early is going to help, it might not make you eligible for benefits because you might not hit your full-time status.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in those after hours, kind of extended hours deal. I mean, you got to be flexible and tailored to the patient, right? I mean, it's one of your core values, and so I'm a huge believer in that. It's easier said than done, but so as we kind of wrap up here, Bonnie, I've got one more question. This is just a broad question, but there's so much going on in dentistry. You mentioned AI and that sort of thing. Like, what, just high level, what like excites you right now? Like, man, I see you out all over the place, you know, on LinkedIn, just everywhere. Like, just a great message you always put out, educating, that sort of thing. Like, what's exciting you right now on where dentistry's going and what you're doing?
There's so many things that excite me. Where we're going, what excites me the most, I mentioned a little bit ago that we had our team training day. And for me, when I had all 100 people in my company in one room, that lights a fire inside of me. When I get to see that the team comes together, and we played games and we had really motivational conversations throughout the day, it inspires me to see more people becoming inspired in the field and wanting to grow. It inspires me when I see my team of managers growing in their own right and, you know, taking on new challenges and hitting things head on. And it excites me to see the new people coming into our practices that are looking for that growth too, knowing that we have it available to them. That's kind of the thing that excites me the most, I think.
That's awesome. That is too good. I mean, 100 people is a lot of people, you know, and it says a lot that, you know, those 100 people that I'm going to say you're leading those 100 people, right? And you're keeping them all rowing in the same direction, because it's easy. I mean, you know it's easy to get people rowing in different directions, but to keep them going the same
100%.
way is huge, which means you're doing a really good job at what you're doing.
Thanks. It's what fills my cup every day. So making sure that they understand, people want to do a good job. people want to feel like they belong, they want to feel valued, and making sure that they know where that value fits with us is what keeps them going in that right direction.
Awesome. Well, Bonnie, if there's, if anybody's listening, how can they kind of reach out to you? Maybe if they're going through, the journey that you've been on, or, you've been doing it 36 years, you know a lot of things. You've seen a lot of things. So
I've seen a lot.
How can people reach out to you and get in touch with you?
The easiest place to reach me is on LinkedIn. I'm on there, Bonnie Thompson at Forest Family Dentistry. I'm excited to meet new people. I love meeting people above my pay grade because it encourages me and gives me more insights. But I love building a network of people because it's lonely in leadership sometimes. My friend Leslie said it recently at a conference. It gets hard when you get into a spot where you just don't feel like you can share, troubles or strife, because it feels like, you're going backwards if you kind of share that with your team. So just having a network of people, and I'm open to connecting and fostering more support for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend, if you don't already, go follow Bonnie on LinkedIn. She puts out some awesome content, great education, and again, reach out to her if you're a COO or anybody in the leadership on dentistry that has questions. She's a great resource. So, Bonnie, we appreciate it. I know you're a busy person. Giving us 30 minutes here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Thanks.